Of two agenda items. The first is a carryover from last month's all-day work session. We weren't quite ready to have a discussion around regional meetings. It was the consensus of PEC to recommend to the board that there be regional meetings in the late fall, early winter for the CIP, so that we not only engage the public around the operating budget, but also around the capital budget and the capital improvement plan. So I think in consultation with Dr. Garza, they're getting a lot closer, and I know that some of the programs are underway really in the Route 1 corridor, but the idea is to mirror those as we develop the CIP, especially with the robustness of the language over the last several work sessions around capital needs. So are there any comments about this? Do you have any questions, concerns about timing? The recommendation of PEC to the board is like basically late November into December. Janie?
Quick question. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I meet with all of my PTAs anyway, everyone on CIP. And one of the cautionary things, we can obviously meet on that. I don't want to also raise a whole lot of angst about, you're going to do a boundary change in the next few months. That would be the only issue that.
No, it was definitely the intent of PEC to recommend just a greater, facile conversation with the public. And we're talking probably just one meeting per region. So if you want to continue to do your PTA meetings,
I do that.
But because the nexus of our operating needs and our growing student population and capital needs, those are quickly coming to a meeting place in the future in terms of the importance. Being more intentional in terms of public engagement was the recommendation.
Right. I was going to say the only issue, our regions now are so large that I'm finding that the region meetings are a lovely idea, but if they are many miles away from the extended boundaries of the region, people don't come. So that's the downside.
So there's no reason that a region meeting has to pertain to only the things in that region.
Right.
But because you're the outcropping boundaries of some of your schools or some of your region may be proximate to another region's meeting.
Right. But anyway, I'm just saying it's fine. But it will not.
So basically what you're saying is just make sure that the messaging around the public engagement piece be clear that this is not to stir up a hornet's nest, but rather to inform and educate stakeholders.
Yes, just be cautious about that.
Okay. Yeah. Kathy?
I guess I'm not sure if I support this or not, because I'm really not sure what the messaging is going to be and what you're going to say and how that fits in the timeline with when we come out with a new CIP, and then how this fits in with whatever FPAC's doing. So if you could provide me more specificity about what type of stuff you would be presenting, it would help me have feedback about what I think about it.
Noted. What else? Anyone?
On a related topic, I'm trying to think who was in the meeting with me. Ryan, and then, of course, our facilities team. Did you already mention that we had a meeting with FPAC? No. Okay. I think this is appropriate now. That we met with FPAC and we asked for them to coordinate any kind of communication, engagement efforts around our capital planning needs to be in conjunction with what we're doing. And they agreed that they would... they have been doing some individual PTA meetings out there. And so we had a really nice meeting, really good meeting with them, and they said from this point forward that they would work with us and we can do those in conjunction. So with whatever way the board decides, I think we can come prepared to facilitate a conversation around that. I think they will work with us versus having separate and standalone meetings.
Megan?
My vote is for anything that streamlines staff and community engagement time, because parents are busy, and so anything that we can do to coordinate and maximize information being brought to the community and minimize the number of meetings is a win-win.
The only problem with that is that there are different topics, and you cannot, there's like only so much that the public can absorb. And so if you chunk it out sometimes in smaller bits, like you cannot do, how are start times doing in a community town hall and Dr. Garza's listening to her and CIP and what, you can't do that all effectively in one meeting. So you do have to, and we have not had an intentional engagement plan around communicating some of the capital needs, some of the long-term upcoming things around advocacy to the Board of Supervisors. I mean, there are certain things that are headed down the path of how we effectively communicate with the public around the capital needs and the capital development in this county.
So one idea I have for PEC to consider is that just like our Board of Supervisors tend to hold a meeting in their district to address district relevant issues, if PEC were to say, here's a framework, here's the information that we would recommend that the school board members go hold a district meeting and, cover this information. I think that would be fantastic. It's a great way for us to then address, district-specific issues. It's a great way for the community to, feel that they can engage with their elected representative for their district. So I think looking at the model again, the public more readily understands who their supervisors are, because the supervisors are the ones holding those engagement meetings. And I think that's a way for us to take a lot of the workload off Dr. Garza and her staff's plate too. Why aren't we just PEC in consultation with Dr. Garza and her team tell us the information that is what's going on operationally, and we bring it out there and we dialogue with them.
So staff-wise, first of all, I think we would need staff support to do that meeting, and second of all, that makes 9 meetings instead of 5. So I don't disagree with you, and it's the will of the board if you would rather have.
I'll push back that I don't. My idea was not just to keep you from what I'm saying. My idea was not staff involvement. I mean, I don't understand why I can't go do this and then bring the information back.
I think maybe, and forgive me if I'm messing things up here, but this may be a conversation for another night when we're a little bit fresher, right? And I mean, I could contribute a lot better to this kind of conversation if we do it another time.
Ms. Goddard,
Maybe I can speak for myself.
I believe if you hear that sound, that is the proverbial can being kicked down the road. I need a spot on a future work session. So moving on, we keep massaging this concept, and it's a new concept, so it's fine that we talk about it periodically. Agenda item number 2, public engagement, and I gave a preview of this on Thursday evening. Public Engagement Committee has discussed with staff the stretched nature of staff and some of the things that we're trying to accomplish this fall, plus the Special Education Summit, plus the Teen Wellness Summit. And the recommendation from PEC to the board is to approve doing a hiatus on the Education Summit this fall. There was a relatively significant downturn in the turnout this past fall, and I think with just having Matt Guilfoyle come on board and some of the communication strategies and some thought processes around partnering in the community to have sponsorship, to be a little bit more intentional and thoughtful about when we do big community engagement. So are there any comments? Is there general agreement? Could I get some nods, approval? Yes?
Questions? I have
Okay,
questions.
Ms. Derenak Kofax. I thought we were going to be finished.
Well, I have questions, so we're not. And I just want a little bit more understanding. I think you just said that, but you know, the Education Summit is a little bit different than some of our other ones because it's the board puts it on. The board kind of gets together, and PEC massages an idea that you bring that back to us. So you're feeling at this point in time there wasn't anything floating to the top from PEC that you could bring to the board that would be of value to have an Education Summit?
No,
Okay.
no, that had nothing to do with it. I mean, we can always, try to create value. The question is the bandwidth right and the timing right for all of the things that staff's doing? And it's a neat notion that the board's putting it on, but it really is staff. And whether or not, with the things that are on the plate of both the board and staff, with the launch of later start times and everything, if this September/early October would really be the right time, or if we couldn't have a more salient approach to delivering, topical information that also is respectful of staff's time, given some of the other things that are on our plates, to put it on hiatus for 1 year.
I believe there was also a comment made by a couple of board members at that meeting. I happened to be able to have attended that one. Was some concern about the timing of it being so close to board elections and just the optics of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was a major point.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McLaughlin?
As many of you probably recall, I've been asking for 4 years to put this poor little puppy to rest. I don't think we get the return on investment on this Education Summit. I think community turnout speaks for itself. So it's a nice idea, but I have not seen this thing grow in popularity compared to our other conferences we do. And I do think it absorbs a great amount of staff time that I would much rather them put toward student achievement issues rather than an Education Summit. I think there's other ways for the board to, again, connect with our community, and I don't think this is the one that does it.
The notion was that that our stewardship over staff's time and redirecting staff's time more wisely is part of our job as well, and that that may be particularly, and thank you, Dr. Garza, for reminding me, that in an election year, it could be a little bit self-aggrandizing. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but again, it's the will of the board. Tammy seems to be the one that has the concern about it, but I saw a lot of head nodding. So unless I see something to the contrary, I think we're going to back burner Education Summit this fall.
I'd like to see a show of hands. Is that, people agree with that?
No, because we have 7. Okay, so please indicate your agreement to pass on Education Summit this fall. Please skip it this fall. Ted Il-Young, skip it this fall. 1 year. Okay. The indication carries, and that's all we have. We're adjourned.
No.
We're not?
No, we discussed the budget communication strategy.
We don't have it on the agenda. It wasn't published on our agenda.
Never mind.
And I'll talk to you offline. I think there are reasons for that.
The work session is adjourned. The board will now make a motion to go into closed meeting 1 to discuss and consider the employment, assignment, and performance of specific public employees, and to discuss prospective candidates for employment pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, and 2, to discuss the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including the terms and scope of such contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A29. Do I have a motion? Mr. Moon, seconded by Ms. Evans. All in favor? The vote is unanimous. We are now in closed session.